Hello guys and welcome back to Strategic Command World War II World at War with our Allied playthrough. In the last episode, we went ahead and pretty much did our whole turn here. We're expecting Barbarossa to kick off with this end turn press. Yugoslavia is still alive. Greece actually doing pretty well. I don't think they're going to fall anytime too soon, which is really nice. We have potential for invading France already, thanks to a partisan unit. The Japanese and China are dying. We're invading Manchuria, and I suspect Indochina is about to fall to the Japanese. It's June 20th. Let's hit end turn. See what the Axis has in store for us. I once again forgot to zoom in. Oh my god. Chinese morale is boosted by the liberation of Shanghai. Damn right. Japanese morale suffers from the loss of Shanghai. Damn right. Let's go. Engineers complete fortress. Alright. Blockade Bordeaux. Like, this isn't accomplishing anything at this point, I don't think, but maybe it is. I just don't know what else to do with these subs. I have no idea what else to do with them. Tech completing, maybe American logistics, that could come in handy. Spying and intelligence for India, perhaps. 374 for UK, very good. Well, Hanoi's still going. I hope this isn't our final turn of Hanoi. Oh, it probably is. Oh. You know, I still, that makes me so sad. If I had just known about that event earlier. Strategic advice, Soviet mobilization is increasing because Stalin suspects Japanese weakness in Manchuria. Ensure units are in Manchuria, blah, blah, blah. So the Japanese, to cover the front, have actually abandoned their positions at Manchuria. That or I've killed something and taken something over. I don't think that part's happened. This is amazing. Well, it would be amazing if Barbarossa wasn't about to start anyway. But here we are. Alright, the Italians, Bulgarians, they're getting ready. Wait a minute. It is the Axis turn right now, is it not? It's July 4th. Where's the war declaration? They didn't start Barbarossa in time. They're waiting. And Soviet mobilization is increasing. They're not declaring war yet. Oh my god. The Japanese are just running out of supply here. This is probably all out of supply. This stuff has Nanchang at least to provide some supply, but you can see it's all dead. They are still going out. Oh, that anti-air coming in handy. I did move my fighter away from the north, which is unfortunate with that bombing from the Japanese. Ooh! Ooh, okay. Germans are still bombing Yugoslavia. The anti-air is coming in handy, but unfortunately the Chinese do not have anti-air. They are researching it. Ooh, Peking army failing their assault. Very good. Ugh. Germans definitely dealing more damage than we're dealing. The Italians, they're laughable. The Italians' effort is laughable. Even with all the MPPs of Paris, you'd think they'd be better off, but they probably have more units than they otherwise have, but they're not doing so well on research and upgrades. What was that? What the hell? What? I think we just saw a plane fly away. Oh, Italian plane flying in, actually. These tanks still suffering attrition. Did they reinforce it? No, they did not. Okay, the first corps died. Since it died that way, I don't know if we get a national morale bonus. I tried to attack it to get the national morale bonus, but we did less damage than I intended to do. These guys have no supply, that's why they're all dying of attrition, so they're going to be slaughtered. Just these southern guys that have any supply at all remaining. Let's see. Blockade. Alright. And that sounds like the whole thing. They did not do Barbarossa on time. It's July. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. June 22nd is when it was supposed to start. So at like the beginning of my previous turn. So this is when they should have done it. They didn't do it. Wow. Alright. Okay, destroyer in Kyoto. What else we got? War near Lublin. Fighters near Pyongyang. Army spotted in Manchuria. Battleship in the Baltic Sea. Carrier South China Sea. Not a lot of air activity from them over there this time. Corps in Niigata. With the Polynesian garrison. Sure. Wow, that's going to be a game changer, guys. Polynesian garrison. So the Soviets are up to 49% mobilization. The Germans still have not started Barbarossa. Their attack over Yugoslavia isn't like finishing this theater very quickly. Greece is still up. If they're waiting for Yugoslavia to die, and especially due to how weak Japan is, Soviet mobilization is just going to keep skyrocketing. They're a little late, but they could still attack next turn. They need to, right? Otherwise, they're going to get fucked. They're not producing enough MPPs to outdo the Allies. Like, even the UK and China alone, plus India, I guess, kicking their asses. America is not going to get as much mobilization as a result, but, you know, they're on a separate thing. Japan's going to bring America in. But this is just absolutely fantastic. I'm going to start with China this time, because China has become a relatively simple front compared to what we're dealing with the UK. And it's generally going fairly well everywhere that we look. So, first things first, we're going to reinforce this corps that got carrier bombed to death. We're going to reinforce this army. We're going to go ahead and upgrade these two armies with infantry weapons. There you go. Very good, very nice. Build up the shells on this arty. So, according to Google, July is when the historical annexation of Indochina happened. So, this next turn should be when this happens. If it doesn't, somehow we got lucky, but like, I don't think that's even possible. From what I was reading of the event, they would have to annex, or they would end up at war. And it doesn't cost a lot of MPPs to annex. So we should be seeing it real soon. There's nothing I can do to prevent it. So that's why I'm just getting ready here, because I'm getting ready to just storm right in and make up for my failure with a heavy offensive. So this has 1 supply, 2 supply. These are completely out of supply. All right. And when they attrit away, I don't know if you get the national morale bonus, unfortunately. Italy's down to 87. Japan's down to 71. China's up to 104%. Oh my god. UK is at 93. Germany 107. Okay. All right. I'm liking this. This is nice. Well, we could just wipe these motherfuckers off the face of the fucking earth, and look what they can do to stop me. Virtually nothing. Isn't that amazing? And then we also have this progressing up here, and honestly, not going very badly. Not going very badly at all. We have some slight entrenchment on the 13th Army, but they're pretty much breaking. The Kwantung Army here at Peking is the problem. Their supply is low, but their entrenchment is high. So they're the things that I'm most concerned about in this region. I have not taken anything in Manchuria, I think, except for maybe Chifeng. I don't know if they have to keep anything at Chifeng, but they don't have a unit somewhere they need to have one, which is good. It's mobilizing the Soviets more, giving them more points. So let's see what we can do here. Again, I'm more concerned about the Kwantung Army. We need to actually go out of our way to lower the entrenchment there. Or we can just ignore it for this turn and just continue to surround it. That's an opportunity. That's an option. Let's go ahead and just do that. Let's artillery the 13th Army. Get rid of its entrenchments in the hills. And then we will attack with the 5th Army of ours, dealing 4 damage, taking 1. Not bad. Not bad. And then take this corps here and attack. And we have wiped out an enemy army. Like a whole army, too. Like, that's awesome. I'm quite happy with that. We'll go ahead and... what's supply like up here? Not the best, but we do need to complete our encirclement. So let's go ahead and do that with this corps. Also tempting bait, in a way, for Peking to fire on. Not that we want to die, it's just that it might keep them away from the 5th Army, hopefully. Now we have all these armies here for this whole big invasion force we can do. We are going to want to utilize them. Now, they're a little bit behind. We got 3 of them, as well as some special forces. So they're a little bit behind. The special forces can only get to right here. Let's go ahead and send the special forces as far up as it can get. We'll send the 42nd Army forward, down towards Manchuria. And we have 1 more army here and here. So this one can get into this zone of control. I'm going to go ahead and send it there. Giving this another army to focus on and further surrounding them could be pretty helpful. But the engineer here doesn't really have anything to do, to be honest. This engineer could go around building fortifications, but where? Where would more fortifications even be necessary? I don't think we're going to get pushed back here anytime soon. At the very least, maybe I can use the engineer as some kind of a garrison unit. because we only can get 2 more garrison units. So we're going to have to be very picky about where we even place them. So I'll probably end up demoting this engineer to basically a garrison role. Let's move this army forward. Move the engineers back. The engineers I want protecting Tsingtao and kind of just fortifying there, because it is a supply zone. And it's in a supply important area for right now. We have, let's see, this push is going to be harder because they self-supply. Nanchang produces supply that we're going to have a tough time rooting them out of. Now, what's your deal? Oh, your deal here is that the supply here fucking sucks. This does not surprise me. But the enemy supply is similarly bad. Oh man, our movement range here is also terrible. But we're going to take this core, we're going to move it up behind the enemies. They can't fight back very well due to their complete absence of supply. So let's go ahead and go for Wuhan first. Go ahead and attack the enemies at Wuhan with this core. Dealt 3 damage, took none. Nice. I can't get anyone else. This army could never have even gotten up that far. So that's wonderful. In which case, that's kind of all we need here. Let's go ahead and do some bigger damage here. So let's take this army. Let's attack this regional army with it. 6 damage dealt, none taken. I was hoping that would lower their zone of control enough, but it did not. Let's attack the Wuhan army. Very good. National morale bonus. Took no damage whatsoever. Can you move up yet? No, you cannot. But I can take this core and move it here into Wuhan and have it attack the enemy, and bam! Another enemy group wiped out. Wonderful. The army still can't get anywhere because it's in a mountain. It doesn't have any mobility bonuses whatsoever. This army is out of supply completely, but it can still apparently hurt our core. This core does not have infantry weapon upgrades or anything like that. Something to note. Our supply lines are getting connected though, so the supplies of everybody over here should be improving shortly. Should be. Down here is a different story because the enemies are still here and they're still here in force. Now naturally we're going to want to push towards Nanchang as quick as possible. So let's take the 4th army and go on the attack on the Central Expedition Army, who has lost some of their XP. I'm guessing they did some reinforcement. Let's see. Let's go ahead and attack with one of our cores in the front. We've shattered that enemy unit. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Perfect. Let's move up. Actually, no. This is a good time to get infantry weapons on this core here. That's a very good opportunity, in fact. Now for the one south of Nanchang. Because Nanchang has the most supply, meaning it's also the most dangerous one. Let's go ahead and let's first attack with the 5th Corps. That's what we're going to do. Okay, that did basically nothing. We're going to move the Zoo HQ into Hangzhou now. These fucking names. We're going to move the 5th Corps back. Damn! Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I might have been able to swap these two. The movement cost is just too great otherwise. Alright, whatever. The 4th Corps will go ahead and attack. Dealt 1 damage. Oh! And actually got him to retreat this way. That's perfect. Now I can attack with the 1st Corps. Dealt 2 damage. Taking no damage. These are like my most elite cores with extra, like 2 elite reinforcements and everything. That's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. We're going to move up down the road here, where the HQ should hopefully be able to keep us in supply. This is still just a matter of having too many bodies in one place, unfortunately. And we're not on the rail line with you. We're on... Well, actually, we are on a rail line. But you don't have the ability to operate. I think it's due to a lack of supply, probably. Yeah. So you also are just in a position you don't need to be. Too many bodies in one place. Let's start just casually sending you north. And we'll do the same thing with you, sending you to Nanjing. Oh, this is no longer occupied. This now counts as being Chinese. The Nanjing country is gone. That's good. I guess for the meantime, I'll take this core and move them up to the enemies to kind of press down on them with their limited supply, readiness, and morale. They shouldn't be able to really do much of any damage. This anti-air... I guess I'll start sending it north because this is where the next big offensive is going to be. Any airstrikes that happen over here are going to be of less consequence. This army just needs to get moving out of these mountains and headed north. It's not really going to be needed here anymore, and if it is, it'd probably do better just attacking across this river to finish off the 37th Army here. Peking is completely surrounded, so we don't need to worry too much. Our zone of controls here are pretty massive. I'm going to take this core away from Peking and move it down the road leading up to Mukden. What do we find here? We find an enemy core with just infantry weapon upgrades, nothing too big, not very well defending the city of Mukden despite full entrenchment, however. Also, we're going to go ahead and reinforce this corps, who is maintaining a important position next to Jahol. These tanks cannot be reinforced because they're not in supply due to our rapid advancement over here. We can go ahead and actually just go ahead and claim the Showa Steel mine here, worth 16 MPP a turn. And now that's just going to go to China. If we take all... Wait a minute. Oh yeah, Port Arthur. This is where they get their convoys from here. Wow, we can hopefully really cripple their war effort. The sad thing is just that they're still going to have their whole navy, and that's going to be a pain in the ass to fight through. We can really cripple their war effort, like, really soon. Fighting this corps as is might not be the best idea at the moment, so I'm not going to, like, press, you know, any advantage over here. What I'm going to do instead is actually get this tank heading down into supply where it can get some reinforcements later, just so it's up to tip-top shape. That's what I ideally want from it. The Chinese still have 84 MPPs. I'm going to go into diplomacy, and I'm going to put that into getting Communist China to move some more. Now we can look at America. America's MPP gain is keeping up with their research pretty well, quite frankly. We still have till December until any terrible things happen to America. So we're going to go ahead and spend on the heavy bombers. That research leaves us with 120. So, I mean, look at this. I have enough to just go ahead and go start researching. Oh, no, I don't. I have reached the total research funding. All right. Cool. I can't believe I finally did that. There's not a lot here that I can buy that I want to buy. We're seeing, like, okay, motor torpedo boats could be good for dealing with some enemy submarines. Airships could be good with dealing with enemy planes in general. Airships are, like, from what I can tell, they're just weaker versions of maritime bombers. With attack value, actually no, weaker versions of strategic bombers, my bad. With resource attack values of 1 by default, as opposed to 3, and then the ability to do like a whole bunch of other things. So, not really very important for us. So we'll just save the rest of this American MPPs, because the moment the USSR gets declared war on, America will be able to do Lend-Lease. And some research could be finishing soon. And if it doesn't, then we're just going to want to end up not giving mobility or anything to any of the units, but more specifically, starting to buy new units, and more specifically, starting to buy some naval units. I'm not sure which naval units to buy yet, thinking about what we're going up against. We know we have 3 carriers, we know we're going to get another one. ASW could be pretty handy, so we can get that in terms of destroyers, which have, by default, attack values of 1. There's also escort carriers, which have better attack values against that kind of stuff. Escort carriers are also cheaper. However, looking at the defensive stats, escort carriers probably also need an escort, even though their attack values are pretty good all in all. We don't have ASW as America yet, and I don't know how close we are as America. We are actually extremely close. I think we're almost guaranteed to get it. So then something we actually might want to do next turn is start getting ASW on like all the ships that we can get it on. And then if we have money left over, buying things that can also benefit from ASW, like more destroyers. But we'll need more capital ships and other things to really take down the Japanese. Planes could help too. Garrisons for going on the islands once we take them back. That's something we'll have to worry about later. So America is done for now with what it has. India has 234 MPPs we can utilize. I'm thinking of putting it into research since we're still not at the cap. We're not even halfway through the cap because I think we finished spying and intelligence. We recently started going for mobility. I think what could be really handy for India once they start moving up towards the European theater is some anti-aircraft defense. If we're getting mobility as well and getting the 2nd level of infantry weapons, I think we'd be relying pretty heavily on this stuff. We might as well get that. That leaves us without enough research to do much else except amphibious warfare, which I don't think it's going to be worth it anytime soon for India. I think other things would be worth it more. So I'm going to save the remaining 109 MPPs that India has. There's nothing really worth purchasing. Garrisons, anti-air, nothing that I feel that we need right now. Now for the USSR. The USSR has given out enough infantry weapons for the time being. Almost all of them have been allocated. There's only 1 or 2 in the rear that are missing it. We have 197 MPPs as the USSR thanks to our increasing mobilization and increasing gain of MPPs. So I think it's important to put this into more research since we're not even halfway through the maximum research here. And there's some things that could come pretty much in handy, such as armored warfare. This would give 10% more morale permanently without any spending on upgrades to mechanized units, recon units, light tanks, and heavy tanks, which we know tanks and stuff. We have mechanized units as well. Pretty handy for the USSR. All these morale things could be pretty handy. There's also the need for eventually more infantry weapons. And we're very, very heavily based on infantry. We could also definitely benefit from mobility. So you see, I have a lot of options here. I have a lot of things I need. Similarly to China, the USSR is not very advanced right now, and they won't be able to get advanced until they're full mobilized and also having America and the UK shovel money down their throats. So thinking of the long term, I'm going to have to go with assuming a war of attrition that's slow paced despite all the openness. Thinking about what we'll have available to us, I'm going to say infantry weapons level 2. So we're going to start researching infantry weapons level 2 because that could make a gigantic difference considering the Germans already have advanced tanks, like level 2 tanks. Our infantry will need everything we can get, and it's going to take a while just to get that. It's going to take forever. Now, I have a big purchase I wanted to make as the UK last turn, but I failed. It's these coastal guns. So this is still going to arrive. We can only buy one before December, before Pearl Harbor, and then when Malaya would historically be invaded. I could have bought it, but I could not have bought it with these upgrades. And the supply in Malaya is so bad that I didn't know if I would actually be able to get the upgrade. So I wanted to get it all at once, one package deal. Now, there's a reason I wanted this with the upgrades. If we put artillery weapons on it, it can actually hurt enemy units rather than just shoot enemy amphibious landing craft. And looking how this is going, I think they're going to have to amphibiously landing craft it, but the ability to use artillery weapons and fire it at distance could make this so much more useful. Anti-air defense is basically vital for dealing with the Japanese air fleet. I think this is going to be very, very handy to holding Malaya, and I really, really wanted to buy it. 238 MPP, so this is a gigantic investment, but I do think it could be worth it, especially since it's going to arrive when it's going to arrive. So let's go ahead and purchase this. There's also fighters we can get. I'm not so sure about those yet. I don't have the Greek fighters, but I'm starting to see value. Like, the Greek fighters would actually be valuable in this current situation. With the way supply... Oh, man, I can move this fighter up and get it in supply probably for more reinforcements. So long as I hold this front line. Ooh, I think I'm going to do that. Yeah, let's move up, because we want to get the reinforcements if we can. But I'm seeing that we could definitely benefit from having the Greek fighter. The Malayan fighter, certainly. You know, we're going to be dealing with the Japanese air fleet. We just don't have the money to do all of these things all at once. And I'm trying really, really hard to allocate things well. Speaking of allocate things. So, yeah, we have so much stuff we have to utilize, and we just don't have the points to utilize it. Oh, and it hurts so much. If we had Lend-Lease, this would be easier. We just don't yet. However, looking at the situation here, unfortunately, that RD is just out of range. However, our offense here is basically guaranteed to succeed. The enemies have 2 out of 3 entrenchment. Let's go ahead and attack bomb them with the Desert Air Force fighters. We broke some of their entrenchments? No. But we lowered the readiness and morale. That's something. Army and tanks are pretty much ready to take this over. We got back in supply, which is good. Let's go ahead and attack with the WDF army. That dealt 4 damage. We took none. Let's go ahead and finish that off with the tanks. And voila! Tripoli has fallen. And with the fall of Tripoli, we now come to this situation where there doesn't seem to be anything in Ethiopia to stop us. I don't know what's going to happen over here regarding Tunis and all that. I should leave some kind of force behind. Egyptian garrisons, theoretically, would be probably some of the best things I can put over here, funny enough. Although Egyptian garrisons might just want to go into Egypt by itself. We could definitely leave some things over here, that's for sure. But we might want to get looking at actually sending units elsewhere. Like a corps here to defend Tripoli, and a potential German advance from the west if they invade Vichy and actually take all this over. That could be important. Maybe an army to push in. I don't really know how this is going to work. But this tank, this army, a lot of these things, a lot of these not defensive things, or things that are defensive, like the anti-tank, but could be very useful against Germans, would be so much better in Greece now, wouldn't they? Also be very valuable up in France, but we can't make that trip. Now, setting such a thing up is not going to be easy at all. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and reinforce this core back up to max strength because we haven't actually been able to do that yet. We have the ability to send the motorized mechanized units pretty far down the line. We'll go ahead and move these TAC bombers further down the line as well. I don't think we're going to need the anti-tank down here, if I'm being completely honest, so we'll send that down the road as well. Something actually needs to step into Tripoli to secure it. That's a thing as well. Something that might be setting sail out from here. I'm not really sure. I'm thinking about how to best utilize all the ports we have around here. And my limited knowledge of what's going to happen in this region makes it hard to prepare for. But even if Germany did attack Vichy, so what about if Africa starts getting messed up? We theoretically have these troops we could send north along a railway at some point, or via transports that could replace anything we lose here. I'll still probably leave a core here. We definitely want to get things moving though. I just have to kind of figure out an order of how to do it. So this recon, I think, well, it's going to step on here anyway. One thing can depart from here. Let's say we put the desert recon here because the desert recon is probably one of the less important things for now. The artillery will go start driving back kind of along the road. Let's see, the special forces will also go driving backwards along the road, and this tank will. The HQ would have to go as well with this plan. There's more HQs in the southeast in case this does become a front again, and we can focus on garrisoning stuff later. But for right now, Libya is won. We have won the battle here, and we have very mobile units, which would be very handy for actually getting them out of here. Now for Africa, let's see. So we have the Gurkhas, who still have a nice long walk to get down here. We are going to reinforce the Sudan Defense Force Corps. We move them back specifically to kind of give them a chance to do that. Up north, we have secured Dawa. No idea what the fuck that means, but we have it. We're going to take the HQ, who could really benefit from having mobility, but I'm not going to do that just yet. We're going to move the HQ up. We're going to move this core up with it, is what we're going to do. There you go. And we're going to kind of try to get everything together here. So the artillery, another thing that would benefit very heavily from movement points, and the Indian army are going to move up as well. I think I'm just going to keep moving them all up together. My South Africans actually have mobility. The Indians, they really just might not be needed here. But they can be needed further up north. Where are the rail lines here? It only starts right here at Khartoum, but it goes all the way north into Egypt and leads up to here. So we could operate into Libya, but not all the way to Libya. We have to run the rest of the way, or transport, which would be a little more dangerous and a little bit harder to do. Well, for now, I just wanted to get in supply and give my guys a better chance over here before we start moving to Addis Ababa, which I am pretty certain will have some garrisons at it. I'd be really surprised if it didn't. Now for the rest of what the UK has to do. So we need to do some naval movements, clearly. We have the Lancaster destroyer, which is going to move down the line here. It actually has its ASW capabilities. We have the Javelin destroyer, which also has its ASW capabilities. We'll send that one south just in case we end up needing something. Oh wait, we have another one here. All right, the Mohawk. I think I've done something exactly like this before. I'll send the Mohawk in the middle so it can respond to either side because it also has all these capabilities. And we have a lot of destroyers that need to go get capabilities of some kind. So let's send the Castleton all the way back here to Liverpool. Let's send the, I can't pronounce this one. This is Asinibone? I'll just call it the Ass Destroyer. Oh god, the Ass Destroyer. Fucking shit. I'm sorry, Canada. I'm so sorry, but this is now the Ass Destroyer. We do have a Canadian destroyer that does need to go get some recovery, so we'll send that over here to Bristol. The path there seemed mostly safe, so I deemed it was worth the risk. As for these other destroyers that are healthy but don't have ASW, we'll get them heading back, but not in any rush. One of them can already make it there. Just so we can get them upgrading too, because that ASW capability is going to be invaluable. We do have only one destroyer that was already in port, the Jersey destroyer. We're going to go ahead and give that its ASW capabilities. Surprisingly, does not cost a whole lot, yet is such a valuable upgrade. Eventually, we'll want to get this on other ships as well, but for now, it's primarily this. I don't think these ones, no, the carriers cannot have that, but damn, oh, there's stuff they could use. I'm trying to just use the inner ones for upgrades so I can kind of pace how I'm doing this, because it's not actually that important that we would need to like rush it or anything. There are no convenient available ports for the Ass Destroyer. I'm gonna go ahead and naval cruise this one up to Cromarty up here in Scotland, because I think that's safe enough. We're gonna take the first garrison here in the UK. We're actually gonna move it closer to London. We're actually sending it back to London now. We're gonna take the Rupert Special Forces, put them at Plymouth. We're gonna take the First Corps, we're gonna put them on Portsmouth, because these forces could end up in France, technically speaking, next turn, because the Germans nor Italians have come to actually deal with the partisans. So we could open up a new front in France. It's actually a very real reality. We just don't have a lot of forces to actually do that with, because we also haven't repurchased the dead BEF forces or made anything new here to begin with. The HQ would also probably be kind of necessary. I'll go put the HQ on London for the time being. Now, keeping the preparation of Malaya in mind, we do have to now start reinforcing. Fortunately, it doesn't look like we can actually reinforce all the way, because the Malayans don't have a good source of supply. But we can get all the Malayans up to 8 strength, and then with their upgrades, hopefully they start feeling a little bit better. Yeah, the supply here is not too great. We can also go one step further. We know this is going to come under the assault of Japanese carriers and all that. Something that could really help us defend it is if these locations themselves have anti-aircraft defense, at least I think, because I think this would kind of work together against anything that bombs anything on this hex. So I think this would work together with the units on the hex, at least that's what I hope. So I'm putting anti-aircraft defense on every one of the towns where we have units, including the capital. I could start putting them on the docks as well, since that's supply locations, but it's not actually too vital to our supply here. So what I'm going to do instead right now is I'm going to go back to the UK. I'm going to give what upgrades I can to the AASF tactical bombers. They've been waiting on this for a good long time, and they're my primary anti-maritime bombers here, because I don't actually have dedicated maritime bombers. We got a lot of fighters that could be redeployed though. Not that we have the money to do that. And with that, I believe we have all of our movements for this turn with every single country. I think the only exception to that is I'm gonna go back to America, and we're gonna actually move these destroyers and the cap ship back, because we're about to get upgrades and I would like to apply them. The carriers don't have to worry about it, so they get to chill out where they are, and the Americans are prepared to upgrade what naval ships they currently have next turn. And with that, we have our whole turn and our whole episode. So next episode, we'll hit end turn. I think we have a little bit longer of an episode today, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.